Today we're going to look at XRP key dates for price increases. I know you're going to want to hear about that. Plus, there's a new David Schwartz interview that we're going to look at towards the end of the video. And so we know you're going to like today's video. Hey, at any point in time during this video, you're like, man, I love the content. Please hit the like and subscribe. We really thrive off of that. That really spreads the video out. We have a goal of 2,000. We'd like to get 2,000 likes on this video. So if you could help us with that, right now I proclaim it. Good luck. If you hit that thumbs up, good luck's headed your way. You'll be blessed, because whatsoever a man sows, that shall he also reap. So when you hit that thumbs up, we're going to pray blessings upon you anyway. But go ahead and hit that thumbs up for us. Also, here's a quick word about the Decent Wallet.
If managing your crypto feels like solving a puzzle, it's time to switch to Decent Wallet. It's just a few taps. You can manage, track, and secure your crypto with unmatched ease. And here's the best part. Grab your Decent Wallet at a discounted price by using the referral link below. Don't miss out on making your crypto experience smoother and more secure.
All right, we're glad to be back. Max, you got some stuff set up for us here.
I certainly do. I want to give a shout out to our brother in community, Michael Cornwell. He DM'd me this, and I thought, this is something that is on the minds of a lot of you guys. What are we talking about? Well, it comes from this gentleman, and he goes by the name of Majid. And what does Majid have that's crucial for bringing it to you guys in the form of a video? Well, as you see here, he goes into detail about key things in regards to XRP. Number one, Ripple CEO with the clock sign for all XRP ETFs. Number two, the CFTC, which if you're new to all these terms means Commodities and Future Trading Commission, admitting stablecoin can be used immediately. And when we get more into the outline, everybody, we have a key interview from David Schwartz addressing some of these key things. So you don't want to miss that segment. I'm telling you, it's worthwhile in regards to David Schwartz. On top of this whole thing, what about the whole thing of the SEC acknowledging a date to approve all XRP ETFs? Is it truly February 13th? I mean, come on, everybody. That is literally in 2 days. And on top of that, number four, the riddle for Ripple, the heart sign on the 14th. Sounds kind of crazy, right? February 14th, Valentine's Day. But whatever the case be, even number five needs to get referenced. On top of the purple mountain showing number 2, meaning February, we have the whole thing here about all of this. So there's a lawyer, if you're not familiar with him, his name is Jeremy Hogan, said in order for all XRP ETFs to be approved, Ripple case has to end. Now, I'm going to come back in the frame for a moment. I understand that people are kind of getting frustrated with this. Heck, I am too. How many videos from many content creators, no knock on them, have you seen SEC case come to end? And it's a partial end. It's a 3/4 end, 2/3, whatever the case be. People just want to see this thing end. I'm telling you flat out, I think this is actually going to be the full end. That's just my own takeaway from it, but I thought I'd point that out. Getting more into this, let's also point out that if this is the case, well, this guy at least thinks that the end of this week, crypto will go up. Now, buy the rumor, sell the news, pump the brakes on this, because again, when we get into, shout out to Chad Steingraber, I've cited him before. He has some key things here I think are definitely worth pointing out. And what does Chad basically mention? Well, he states that the CFTC has found no need for regulatory or rule changing, but it's required to begin using stablecoins. RLUSD can begin to be used basically immediately. And when we get further into the whole thing with David Schwartz, we're going to cite that. So I'm going to pull this up, and it states here, the group found there was no need for regulatory or rule changes, according to the CFTC, in regards to recommending the adoption of tokenized non-cash collateral for margin purposes. All right. Well, the CFTC, are they really inviting CEOs to circle? Think about it. That's a stellar plug. Coinbase, Crypto.com, MoonPay, and yeah, even Ripple to discuss the use of stablecoins as non-cash collateral. definitely worth pointing out. And even in the highlight, even though I'm not seeing physically highlight, a highlight for you guys, World Bank, they suggested types of collateral would be bonds, government securities, corporate debt. Think about Ripple and corporate debt. Think about on-demand liquidity. And even mentions money market funds, gold. You get the gist. All right. So as I kick it back to what we also have here, Brad Garlinghouse talks about this literally with just an emoji, right? The alarm clock. Think about this, right? This is recent, you guys. He posted this on February 7th. And I talked about this recently in regards to CBOE. I think I did it yesterday with Will, or if it wasn't with Will, it was Channing. Well, what else do we have here? Is it going to begin? Some of you guys remember this whole video, right? With the bear. Well, it could very well be, but here is your key dates before I kick it back to Will. I've cited this numerous times back on Investor Plays. What we have here basically is the reference, and I'll make this a little bit bigger for you guys can see it just that much better. We see that you have, not just XRP, but, Litecoin, Solana, HBAR, but emphasis will be on XRP. Okay, so we do see here, for example, that Grayscale, Bitwise, Canary, 21 shares, Wisdom Tree, shows that the first 19B-4 file date was supposed to be the end of this month, right? Last month, excuse me, January 30th, 2025. Was it acknowledged yet? No, not yet. All right, what about the acknowledged date? Well, that's literally 2 days from today. Okay, final SEC deadline. Do you feel as though that we're going to drag this out to October 17th, 2025? Now, again, if that was the case, think about what's immediately after that. The full-fledged ISO 222 mandate for all banks. Now, the key date moving forward for us in the U.S. is March 10th. And does the SEC currently view this as a commodity? Well, of course not. Odds of approval, 2025, 65%. So, again, we see some of this stuff. I mean, apparently the whole thing with Litecoin, that's a very, very bullish for Litecoin. But we are talking about Ripple XRP moving forward, and that is where I'm going to leave this up on the screen for a bit. I do want to get Will Fix's take on this, Will, because the way I look at this, Will, is, yeah, some people are going to look at this as buy the rumor, sell the news, but to see Garlinghouse mention in emoji, just an alarm clock, is one thing. And all these references to the 13th, that's 2 days away. March 10th for the U.S. is big. Garlinghouse, Stuart Alderati, they already met with Trump, and you kind of get the feeling that why can't they get this done now? We have a new administration here. So your thoughts?
Yeah, one of my thoughts is they had a meeting, was it last Thursday? There was a meeting at the SEC, and specifically for ongoing litigation. Um, did you know about that meeting?
No, not offhand, but I've heard a little bit about it.
Yeah, they had a meeting on Thursday, and I was wondering if we would see some kind of an announcement, but it was specifically about the ongoing cases on the SEC, and now we've heard nothing about any conclusions of that meeting. So one of the things that I think about is if we got this coming up, what is that? Is it on Thursday?
Yeah, basically, I mean, we're at Tuesday, so yeah, Thursday the 13th, day
So
before. Yeah.
Thursday the 13th, he's got something that's going to be announced. Now he knows that they met about ongoing litigation, which would be, should we continue or not? It's very likely, Max, that this meeting, this announcement on Thursday, be about the case is concluded. Which would, I mean, that'll spark a little bit of a price revival, don't you think? But that's my thought on this. And then to think of the other things, I just think I can't get through this year fast enough. There's so many dates going on. I have a personal belief that will be around $6 to $8 by summer, and but if we get regulations passed, then all bets are off. I mean, it can be any price. I mean, it's just a matter of how much money comes in from mass adoption. But when I look at these dates, man, it's thrilling to me.
Yeah, I think it's more than thrilling because I mean, we have the whole thing of these ETFs. We talked about in a previous video. We also just recently, and this is coming out. I think I just released it on my channel. Your channel is a little bit later today, in regards to XRP U.S. reserve asset. Now, some people are like, that's just speculative, but we actually have examples. There's so many people that watch our videos, obviously they click off. You can always tell when people click off, yeah, sometimes we have some of those engaging thumbnails, guys. We realize that. But at least we do our best to back it up with some real research. With that also said, just a reminder of key dates. So you guys see here, call it buy the rumor, sell the news. Hey, it is what it is. Things could happen. Things might not happen. But February 13th, March 10th, to me, should be something big. And it's not going to just affect, obviously, Ripple XRP. I would say all the X's. Anything ISO, your quants and some of these other particular ones, your Algorands, your IOTAs, your ADAs, right? So the other thing I want to get into, other than February 13th and March 10th and so on, again, is recognizing now a real date, November 22nd, 2025, with the full ISO 222 mandate, by the way. That means all banks, not just in the United States, all banks worldwide. The coexistence period with SWIFT coming to an end, where, ISO 222 is the standard moving forward, where, as Gilbert Verdin has mentioned, you need to adapt or you will get left behind. Now, let's jump into the next part of what we have, and that basically is this. And please, it's free. Smash a like if you haven't done so already. Let's kick it over to a brand new interview from the one and only David Schwartz. So what we have here is this event, new by the way. It was the CoinDesk Live at Ondo Summit. Now, I was listening to this earlier. I was telling Will, I was actually trying to get something in regards to Stellar, and I'm going to do a Stellar outline, and maybe I'll do it with Will if we have enough time. But what's going to state is, while I was looking for this stuff about Stellar, out of nowhere, guess who walks in and is interviewed? Yeah, David Schwartz. So this is roughly about 6 or 7 minutes. You want to listen to this. And from there, we have an example, little documentary style video to summarize some key findings. But this is good stuff. So we're going to go ahead and play this. Check it out for yourself. And if anything, we'll come back here in just a moment. Thanks for being here, guys. We really do appreciate you. Here we go.
It's tremendously exciting. I feel like we really are on the cusp of a mass institutional adoption, both of DeFi and of other blockchain technologies. I think this is also like one of the key obstacles to mass retail adoption. A lot of people in the space previously thought that retail adoption was like the big wave, but I think institutional adoption is a precursor. You have to connect to where people are. You have to go to where the value is. You can't build a new financial system from zero, ignoring the existing financial system where everybody's money is, where all the value is, where the real world is, trillions of dollars in value. You can't just say, oh, forget about all that. Let's just build something new over here. That doesn't work. And so I think this wave of institutional adoption over the next year or two is going to be what's going to pave the way for mass retail adoption. And then we can deliver on those promises. Like, we all want to bank the unbanked, but like the unbanked, like they have to be able to spend their money to buy groceries and pay their phone bill, and so we have to have that institutional connectivity. And I don't think there are any obstacles. I think that's and I think this conference shows that.
You guys have shown a tremendous amount of resilience over the last couple of years and helped score some of the biggest wins from of the industry against those who doubted it. XRP is in one of our flagship indices and was a top performer. It's been an exciting couple of months. Like, how has the perception of the firm changed from inside and outside? A lot of people are taking a look at Ripple that really maybe hadn't before. How are you thinking about conveying what the company does to people who are looking at it for the first time?
Yeah, it has been a huge difference. 4 years ago, we had what I called the worst Christmas ever when I found out that the SEC was suing us.
Yes.
And a lot of people thought that would just be the end of our business, and it could have been. And I'm glad to say that the industry eventually rallied around recognizing the regulatory overreach, and I think things have gotten obviously a lot better since then. More recently, the changes in the United States over the past couple month or so have just been unbelievable, and it has unlocked business in the United States, but also business overseas. I think a lot. I didn't realize this until the change happened. There are a lot of other countries that kind of take their regulatory cues from the United States, and so when the United States didn't seem serious, they didn't really seem all that serious either. Now there's more international competition to bring in innovation. I think now we also, Ripple has a new product, RLUSD, which is a stable coin, which we think is going to be great for applications ranging from things like payments to DeFi, as a collateral, as a way of moving value from one place to another. And then, of course, the XRP ledger adding DeFi capability. That's not the first generation of DeFi capability was very experimental, and it was looking for absurdly high yield. It was gambling, let's be honest, it was gambling. That's cool, that attracts people. Vegas was built on gambling, right? But the next wave of real utility is going to be built around things that are much less interesting. A savings account is not super interesting. It doesn't provide high yield, doesn't have high risk. You don't check the balance of your savings account every day, but it has real world utility. And I think that avenue of real world utility that Ripple's leaned hard into is the tokenization of real world assets, from very useful financial products all the way to things like venture capital and real estate and that whole spectrum.
You mentioned RLUSD, and Andy asked one of our guests this earlier, and I want to get your opinion on it. Do we need so many stable coins? What is going to happen in this world of stable coins as this industry becomes more mature?
We don't need that many stable coins. There's reasons why you might want more than one. There is actually some special.
Two, right?
well, one is diversification of risk, right? It would be really weird if we build this entire DeFi ecosystem that's all decentralized and it's all based on Ripple's reserve, and if Ripple collapses, the whole system collapses. There might be people who don't trust Ripple. I don't know why they wouldn't, but and they wouldn't be able to use RLUSD, and obviously the whole world, right? So yeah, you can make an argument that there's some small number, but there is some specialization that really does happen. Stablecoins aren't yield bearing, and so that they're not volatile, and they're tied to jurisdictions, they're tied to particular entities. So you could sort of imagine a world where you have this proliferation of millions of stablecoins. I don't think that's, millions is obviously not true, but a large number. I think there probably will be a bit of a shakeout and some consolidation. But I do think, 5, seems like roughly the right order of magnitude.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's special about RLUSD there? What are you going in with as the competitive advantage?
Well, RLUSD is issued through a U.S. trust based in New York State, which is the gold standard for reliability. The reserve is just cash equivalents, short-term treasuries. It's audited on a regular basis. So as far as the compliance, it's a gold standard. It's backed by Ripple. Ripple has an enormous balance sheet. We've been here for a long time. We're being as transparent as possible. So to some extent, all of that is table stakes, but we want to make sure we do that exactly right. We're going to be using it in our own payments flows. There's going to be applications in DeFi, a movement of value across chain. I think as we turn that curve to mass adoption, not just institutional adoption, but mass adoption, there's going to have to be ways. If my money is over here and I need to buy groceries, there's going to have to be ways to move. And I think the RLUSD is going to be well positioned to be that sort of value movement.
Do you think that there's, I was, on some podcast at some point, somebody made a great point that some payments need to be really, 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 really secure. Whereas if I Venmo Jen money for lunch, she knows where to find me if the payment fails. There are different layers, and Jen might be willing to pay less for security for the lunch transaction than moving $10 billion. Do you think that that's true, and does that set the stage for different levels of speed and cost versus security? How is your company thinking about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
There is not going to be a one-size-fits-all solution. There's not going to be a one-chain world. It's not going to be a one-product world. There is no conceivable universe where Ripple is the only successful blockchain company, right? That's just impossible. There's going to be a broad range of things that people need, and you called out an important one, which is there's applications that are not very cost sensitive, and you can trade off cost from many other things. There's applications that are just super cost sensitive. There's cases where speed is of the essence, and then there's multi-million-dollar transactions where making sure that we don't do it if we didn't really want to is of the essence. I think you're going to see that spectrum. We focused, as Ripple as a company, like in our enterprise products, is focused mainly on institutional payments, where there's that balance. They're cost sensitive, but they're very sensitive to things like 24/7 availability, compliance, and then bringing costs down. But yeah, I think you will see a whole spectrum of products, and already you see chains that are focused on very fast payments, chains that are focused on very high security, and I think that's definitely why interoperability is going to be so important. If I have to try to figure out where your money is and if we have to work out the interoperability as humans, it's going to be inconvenient. It's going to have to just work.
You mentioned institutional adoption as the next step on the way to retail adoption, that real mass adoption. What needs to happen from an infrastructure perspective for this industry to be ready for that?
Well, there's a whole bunch of different pieces that we need, but one of the big ones is we need products that just work, that are easy to understand. We need people to be able to get their money in and out very easily. They need to be able to pay at retail points of sale. On the institutional adoption side, compliance has to be worked out. We need clear regulations, particularly in the US. If you look at I used to think that, like, well, if the U.S. is not a friendly regulatory environment, just do it elsewhere. It doesn't really work. The U.S. puts its tendrils through. There are many people who are like, oh, we'll tokenize like U.S. treasuries, but we won't have a U.S. regulatory nexus. You can't build the business that way. So it's going to take institutions who commit and who stake out, space in a growing part of the industry.
David, thank you very much for joining us here.
My pleasure.
Wow. So, wow, we might have to retitle our thumbnail, our video. 3 key takeaways before I kick it over to you, sir. And that is this. Number 1, retail mass adoption. Number 2, institutional mass adoption. And this is number 3. I think we put this on the thumbnail. David Schwartz literally said Ripple RLUSD gold-backed standard. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I noticed the exact same ones, and the one that stands out on all of those was because I didn't believe that this was their focus, was the retail. I didn't know that they were going to try to expand that particular market for you to go buy groceries. I mean, he literally said you got your money here and groceries over here, and he was talking about mass adoption, and he's talking P2P, instead of just B2B. And so whenever, everyone's summary of XRP is B2B and XLM was P2P. Well, wow. Maybe that's the cause of some of the tension that's been between XLM and XRP lately. Maybe they're kind of upset that because XRP, if you compare the two coins, it looks like XRP moves much quicker and is much more able to make broad deals, because proof's in the pudding. Just look at what they've done. So as soon as he said that, because of the rumors that I've heard about Elon Musk choosing XRP, which I thought he would probably choose Doge or, some other thing, maybe even XLM, because he's kind of friends with, what's his name?
Jed McCaleb.
Yes. Yeah, they're both play with rockets, and like space. So, and it still could be XLM, but as soon as he said that came to mind. I'm like, wow, what if, right? But I didn't think XRP was going to look at the retail like that.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking. I mean, let's face it, Stellar always stands out in that regard. And that's why I don't like being a maxi in anything. It's like I've done enough research with this. Why not just own both? Like I always see a person in the comments, they're like, should I just sell all my XLM for XRP or vice versa? It's just like, what's wrong with just like, if you had $1,000, again, not financial advice, maybe put 500 in XRP, maybe put 500 in XLM. Again, it just understand the use cases. But if we're talking about Ripple with RLUSD, it's like, to me, America does kind of stand out in that regard. But even from Circle's point of view, okay, what about Europe? What about Asia? What about, especially what they're trying to do with Africa? Yeah, they definitely have a seat at the worldwide table, to say the least. Now, something I want to address to you guys, and this is something that we're going to wrap up here in a bit. And basically, is this: I want to share this with you on the screen here in a bit. Well, I should say in a video format that I am bringing to you. It's a short little documentary / AI piece, and when we heard David Schwartz talk about stablecoins with RLUSD, he talked about it's, like there's so many different stablecoins, and he was even asked about, what about some of the others. So at the end of the day, here's the question I know for a fact that you guys are asking, and that is, why do we need all these stablecoins, and what does Ripple bring to the table with Ripple's RLUSD that makes them stand out compared to the competition, and especially for the United States moving forward? Check out this short little video. We'll come back with closing thoughts from the one and only Will Fix. We appreciate you guys. Again, here it comes on your screen. Thanks again for being here.
Coins play an essential role in the cryptocurrency ecosystem, providing a much-needed anchor of stability amidst the volatility of traditional cryptocurrencies. Their design, typically pegged to fiat currencies like the US dollar, ensures that they maintain a stable value, making them practical for everyday transactions and a reliable store of value. This stability is particularly advantageous during market downturns, where investors seek refuge from price fluctuations. In addition to stability, stablecoins offer remarkable efficiency in transactions. They enable faster and cheaper cross-border payments, circumventing the cumbersome and costly traditional banking systems. This efficiency is a game-changer for international transfers, allowing users to move funds swiftly without incurring hefty fees. The liquidity they provide in decentralized finance, DeFi, is another critical function. Users can trade, lend, or borrow without the fear of significant price volatility, making stablecoins indispensable in the DeFi landscape. Moreover, for individuals in regions with unstable currencies or limited access to banking, stablecoins present an alternative means of holding value and conducting transactions, enhancing financial inclusion. Ripple's RLUSD introduces unique offerings that set it apart in the stablecoin market. Its regulatory compliance, backed by the New York Department of Financial Services, signifies a commitment to transparency and consumer protection. This is particularly crucial in an environment where regulatory scrutiny is intensifying. RLUSD's backing by high-quality assets, including US dollar deposits and government bonds, adds another layer of trust. The public audit of these assets further bolsters its credibility. Additionally, Ripple's plans to integrate RLUSD into its RippleNet platform position it as a significant player in international remittances and corporate payments, leveraging existing relationships with financial institutions to drive adoption. The dual blockchain support of RLUSD, operating on both the XRP ledger and Ethereum, enhances its flexibility and compatibility, catering to a diverse audience. This adaptability is essential for bridging traditional finance with the innovative world of DeFi. Focusing on institutional clients, RLUSD aims to provide banks and payment providers with a stable, compliant tool for digital transactions, which could navigate the regulatory landscape more effectively than competitors targeting retail markets. The potential economic impact of RLUSD could be substantial, supporting the growth of a regulated digital dollar ecosystem in the US and enhancing its position in the global digital economy. In a competitive landscape filled with stablecoins, RLUSD's emphasis on compliance, transparency, and institutional adoption may give it a distinct advantage over others like USDT and USDC, which have faced scrutiny. Overall, Ripple's introduction of RLUSD is strategically positioned to meet the growing demand for stable, compliant digital currencies that seamlessly integrate into both traditional financial systems and the expanding DeFi space, especially in a regulatory environment that presents both challenges and opportunities.
All
Awesome.
right. Yeah, glad to share that with you guys. So, Will, your closing thoughts?
Yeah, exactly. I like what your video is pointing out there. The to move value, to move RLUSD, is going to be very inexpensive, and people have different wallets. They have money, they have coins on different exchanges. That when they sell or they want to move, they have a couple choices. If it's, especially if it's Ethereum, about high cost, especially Ethereum has such a cost, you can get really upset. How many of us have wanted to move coin or to sell coin right away, only to be jammed up to have to top off our Ethereum account? And the same thing when you're moving Ethereum. So converting, depending on how much funds you want to spend, you can convert certain coins over to a stable coin. And then that's very inexpensive to move value back and forth, or to send value somewhere to purchase a coin. And then RLUSD offering exactly what the videos, bringing forward there is we can depend upon it. We can trust it. It's backed by securities. It's over collateralized. Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, great video.
Well, thank you. And knowing that, I mean, come on, everybody. You heard it from the horse's mouth. David Schwartz, not just backed by securities, but backed by what? Backed by gold? That's crazy. That's awesome. And a lot of people were like saying, hey, you guys are full of it. Then you see stuff like that. Anyway, with that said, everybody, we're going to wrap up the video. Do us a solid if you listen to the entire outline and type this key term into the comments. And that is Ripple full victory. USA, USA, USA. And we'll know that you listened to the entire outline. On behalf of myself and Mr. Will Fix, know what you have, know why you hold it. The research trumps FUD 110%. We'll see you
Next
on
video.
the next one.